everybody. Sorry, I was a few minutes late because I wanted to make sure that everything works okay. I hope you can hear me. Hi, Cherry. Hi, Colleen. Hi, Robin. Let me get this refocused because it just doesn't want to be properly focused. Give me just a minute here. There we go. Now we are good. Okay, so as I said from last time, I was going to put the backing on it so I can work the bats on the front. But first we are going to work on the earrings because they require one baking before finishing them. So this is how they wear. I'm going first to get them off the jar. Now at this point we are going to have a obviously a very shiny back, and we are going to take care of this here in a minute. But before anything else, I did buff them without any kind of sanding, but you can see that the mica shift is there. Let me try and get this a little bit brighter. Okay, this should be good. I'm trying to get the glare off. Okay, so tomorrow I'm getting the other lamp bright like that. That's why today you'll see shadow on this side, but until tomorrow we'll make it a little bit prettier because you don't want that to be all the way to the back. Besides, the shiny is not always even. So first of all, we need to make a little bit of bat body, and for this what I did, I made a Skinner blend of bronze and graphite pearl that I am going to fan. But see, you only need a little bit of graphite towards the end here. Hi, Joaquin. Hi, Tina. Hi, Anna. Hi, Lila. And let me get this even a little bit brighter. There. This should be better. Okay. And as you can see, this is the graphite and this is the bronze Premo. Hi, Chris. So I'm going to go about half of the bronze as the fanning goes. So that all the bronze area, about half of it. And we shall use these bodies for the bats on the bangle as well. I'm going to put aside the extra. And then remember how I used to do the Skinner blend sheets that would be practically flattening a Skinner blend so that one side of the sheet has one color and the other side of the sheet has the other color. Kind of like the way that I did for the faux malachite. Hi, Rita. And now I'm going to flatten it a little bit. And you'll see what we shall do with them. because we need a little bit of fur on top of this, right? And not only that, but we need a little bit of something to attach the earring practically. I got my stuff here. Hi, Pauline. So I'm going to make little loops that can afterwards be connected to the ear wire. Unfortunately, I don't have 22. I only have 22 silver and gold. But I'm going to paint it. Yes, you can paint the whole thing. So let me get a little bit of wire here. Yes, you can put jump rings, you can, but I think it's more secure done this way. Besides, it's just a little bit, it's not a lot. If you cannot see the image, simply reload the page and that should fix it. Okay, so first I'm going to make a semi-wrapped loop. Let me see if you can see what I'm doing. Oops. If I don't need to refocus it. So you see I did the U shape with the wire. I'm going to bring this all the way here, the longer side. And then I'm going to move it like this. And that makes the shorter side able to be wrapped around. So I brought it a little bit more over, and now I'm going to catch it. Remember that I have some issues with my hand, so I'm showing you how I do this with all my hands issues. Hello, Seamus. Really? He has something important to tell. Oh my goodness, are you serious? But we don't need a lot of wrapping, just a little bit, so it would just to make sure that it will be secure. Okay, I got you. You can go now. And do the same thing with the other one. Don't lose the wire. So at about one third, place it about in the middle, bring it all up, then bring this a little bit more over, then bend it perpendicular on the needle nose, bring this down, then just grab it and start twisting it around. And if it gets a little bit too high, you can just bring it back down. As I said, it's a little bit uncomfortable for me in this position. And you only need to do it about 1.5 around, and then you can trim away the extra. Then remember, whenever you put a wire in the clay, this is always very, very important. Never put, because you know, like you have the pins that are like this. Never put it directly in, because no matter how much you bake it or whatever, it will slip out, and you'll have to glue it. So the best thing to do when you put anything is to give the wire some deformation. And as my thing is going to be here, pretty much, right? I want to make some deformation in the wire that would go like this, so that whenever clay comes on top of it, it will not slide out anymore. Check this. Happy Sunday, Donna. Hi, Edna. Can you all hear me okay? So I'm going to go about 3 millimeters. And see, I'm holding it here. You can use a second pliers. Just to do it because you want it to be in line with the wing. And then bring it over kind of half, 3/4 of the way. Then move the needle nose the other way. And then bring it over like this. So this will be the result like this, because that way you know it will. And if you want to make it shorter than this, then you just bring this a little bit more to the side. But you pretty much want to have 2 loops in there because that will make the whole thing very, very secure. Told you my issue is with pinching. So I'm having a little bit of issues grabbing the whole thing here. So you bring it even more lower. I'll show you on the other one. So it will be pretty much like this. I don't know if you can see it okay. So let's do on this one the same thing. So I'm going to hold this to make sure that I'm going the proper way. Hi, Angsemamun. So I'm going about 3 millimeters, and it's okay. You don't have to do a huge thing here. Just make sure that you have at least 1 loop. You can have 1 loop, you have 2 loops, but to make sure that you have at least 1 loop. So this should work for securing the clay in place. Now, of course, we need some bake and bond to put on the very top here. And here I might have to go and refocus it close, because I'm going to show you how to do fur. I showed you before when I did the head wig necklace, I showed you something similar. But I'm going to get a piece of this and I want a proper edge here. And I'm going to place some like this. And then the other one here, it can actually be thinner. I know I didn't put yet the loop, but that's okay. At this point, I really needed to take my eyeglasses off. So I'm going to put them on from time to time so I can check the chat. And you want to go a little bit rounded. And at this point we can insert a little loop. And then pinch all of this together. And if need be, you can trim it some more. I told you in some cases I prefer to use scissors instead of the X-Acto knife because they give me a better catch on. Now let me make sure that everything is well focused, because at this point we are going to make some fur. Hi Marie. Hi Sweden. Dinner will have to wait, huh? Okay, let me get this in focus properly. Okay, now you do the whole thing using your needle tool. And don't worry about these things in this area because they are going to go away, or whatever other issues you may have here. And you generally start from the top. So first go down with some lines. This will create the illusion of hairs. And then going from the top towards the bottom, you start lifting first punch in and then lift, punch in and lift a little bit. You might have to clean the needle from time to time because there would be little threads of clay. No, let me get a good angle here. As I don't have a good angle. Just a second. Go like this. I'm trying to figure out which angle is the best. Okay. So poke in and then lift gently, but don't break it. Now you can start breaking it. At the very top, try not to break it. And now as you're breaking it, you'll form actually little threads. This is the best done with syringe needles, because remember that those have a slant, so they would go in much thinner, so you can create way better looking fur. It doesn't look perfectly like fur, but it's the easiest way to create a realistic looking fur-like texture. And you always go from top towards the bottom. Let me get all the way to the end. And I don't have any syringe needles, unfortunately. I used to have some from when I was giving shots to my dog that died in 2016. But I don't have them anymore. So see, it looks pretty much like a furry piece, but you're trying still to make it look like metal. So it doesn't have to look perfectly like fur. Now let's do this other side. And the last, you do the very edges. A little bit overhand for me to do it in such a way that you can see. As you saw how my hand was in the way. Yeah, next week we'll have much better light. And now let's do the edges. Don't press too hard, because you don't want to mess up what you just did. But you want to get right on the edges here. And gently, gently brush them down a little bit, because you don't want them to stick out too far. Okay, let me catch up on the chat. Okay. I don't think they would be thin enough, Tina. I used a Skinner blend of graphite with the end bronze. Oh, let me grab, and then I made this flattened Skinner blend. So let me grab another piece for the other earring. And on the second one, you need to be very careful how big you make the furry part, because you don't want one to be longer than the other. Yeah, and you'll put the Bonsoir, Elizabeth. On the thing when you have something in your hand and you're looking for it on the table. That's me and the X-Acto knife just now. It's way too low. As I said, you try to make them fairly equal. And then again. And do the furring out. You can practice on a piece of clay to get the hang of this. It's not hard once you get the hang of it on how deep you need to poke the needle in. You just need to create little threads. And then once you gently brush them down, it will arrange itself exactly like fur. And why do these lines first? Because it helps with the separating the clay when you go doing like this. And yeah, bats have a slight brownish tint to their fur, or grayish. It depends on the exact type of bat. Now, if you want to create, and I'll try to make real quick an example. If you try to create a real, I mean a whole bat, not a real bat, a whole bat thing, I'll show you how to create especially the face. So it would look realistic. Because most of the bats that I have seen, they actually look like flying foxes. I know. Yeah, Seamus is a little guy with a lot of emotional issues, and he has a ton of attention needs. So from time to time when he's feeling insecure, he comes and demands to be held. And that's what's happening now. He thinks he's not getting enough attention. And he's not sure if I still love him. So he needs reassurance in the form of kisses. Hugs and kisses. Okay. So for the next thing, in order to make sure that we don't mess anything up, this needs to bake, pre-bake for like 10 minutes. So I shall be right back. Let me check the chat first. Bonjour, Christine. Bonjour, Caroline. Hi, Trish. I'll be right back. I'm going to put this in the oven. I know. Okay. Now let's go to the bangle. Let me get this out of the way. And remember, I had started last week to do this, but then I realized that it's the best to first put on the backing and then attach the rest. There we go. So the backing is exactly done the same as the front. And then I sanded it lightly and buffed it a little bit just to make sure that it is all equal. I'm trying to make you see the white pearl in it. Let me try and... No, try the other one. So this is how it looks like, because it's too much white and you cannot see properly the colors on it. So it looks good by itself, and it's the same on the back. So first of all, I'm going to make, this is on the number 6 on my pasta machine, so it's pretty much like the third manageable thickness, because then the 8 and the 9 are a little bit too thin to be able to manage them properly. So the same as I showed last time, I'm going to simply cut wing shapes, and on top of those I'm going to place little bodies. So right now what I'm interested is practically just the wing shape. So I'm going to pretty much draw them with my needle. I'm having some issues seeing here. Okay. Might not be good. I might have to find a different. Yeah, I need to find a different camera position so I can go closer so I can see what I'm doing. Okay, there we go. So first you go almost like for the drawing of a bird. So like a very long 3, if you want, inverted 3. And then you need 3 dips before the end, so before the middle. So this is the middle. If it's harder for you to do it in one, pretty much eyeball the middle and then put 2 points between the tip of the wing and the middle, and then just go with semicircles between the points. And don't go thinner than this because it will not hold to being cut like this. And now we go. Let me cut a few more just so that when I lift it we have already. So I'm going to do it the other way. So like a very large 3, eyeball the middle of it, put 2 points. It's up to you if you want to make them more equal, less equal, and then do semicircles. Actually they are smaller than semicircles. And let's do a third one. Middle, 2 points. 2 points. Because remember, this is at the very tip of the tiny bat tail, because they have a like a knob of a tail. Okay, there we go. Now you should be able to simply separate them. Because the needle cuts pretty good. But as I said, you don't want to go thinner than this, because if you try to go thinner than this, they will start shredding apart. And why you make them this thin? Because they don't want to stand up too much against the bangle itself. Now just spray a little bit of bacon bond a little warm in this room. And I definitely need to put a little bit of alcohol on my fingers because they are getting sticky. Just a second. I know it dries up the skin, but it makes it easier to work. And you want to put the bats to go from all directions. You don't want them facing only in one direction. I mean, of course, you can make them if you so wish, but I think that they look cooler if they are not in the same direction. As for the base, I made it with white and regular white and white pearl, but you can use practically any color in which you use the correspondent in the pearl clay. Like you can use red and uh, sunset, for example, or you can use I don't know, like what's the name of that one? Oh, it's not wisteria, it's darker than wisteria. Fuchsia and magenta pearl. You can mix half and half violet and wisteria, and then use the violet pearl, purple pearl. What did I do with my needle? There it is. Okay, let's make a few more. And you can make them even smaller if you so wish, to give a more of a 3D. More larger one. And then I think that they should be enough. Okay, this is not deep. And if it's a little bit jagged, it's just fine. It just gives more authenticity, more of a Halloweenish look. Let's get this one here. And once you're sure that everything is set in place, let me check the chat. Okay. Bonjour, Christine. Hi, Soile. Yes, my chair is complete now. I need to get that heating and massaging cover, and then I will be able to sit here for hours and hours and hours. Oui, il y a beaucoup de machines à pâte. Tu peux attacher un moteur. Ça, je l'ai reçu en cadeau. Une de mes gentilles dames qui me sponsorise l'a acheté pour moi. So now let's make little bodies. And actually before that, we need to make little ears. And because they are so small, I would not advise to cut the ears. The best thing is to simply, and they are so thin and they are going to be covered by the so-called body. So what you want to do is to get little pieces and then pretty much roll them like grains of rice, like this. This is one of the moves that is killing me. Okay, and then you can of course place a little bit of bacon bond if you want, but generally speaking they would go by themselves, but place just a tiny bit, because if you place a lot they are going to start sliding around and you don't want that. And of course for the itty bitty ones you want to use smaller ones. And just for proportions, make them come out. See which of the two ends is the pointiest, put that towards the outside and make them come out exactly from this V. Almost like two antennas. And then very gently flatten them like this. And do that for all of them. Of course, for the smaller ones, you'll need smaller rice grains. Okay, in there. Ding. So I'm generally putting one drop here and then grabbing that drop and just placing little pieces, little droplets out of it, so that my my ears don't start sliding around. We need very, very little of this here. I'm going to need a few more ears. Oops, wrong tool. And yeah, I got them all with ears. Now let me check the chat, and then we'll check the. Let me go get those earrings out of the oven now first. Okay. Now let's make the little bodies. Let me check the chat. I get the, you can get the motor attachment on Amazon. If you look in my Amazon influencer store, I have a whole section on pasta machines and motors. And hold on, let me put the direct link there. Give me just a minute. And see, this is the influencer store. Hi, Judy. And let me give you the direct link to the part that has the section that has the pasta machines and motors and all that. Because I put there some that are more expensive, some that are cheaper. Okay. There you go. This is directly the section with pasta machines and motors. And donc, je dis que j'ai mis dans mon magasin Amazon. C'est pas mon magasin, c'est le magasin où je fais des recommandations sur des produits. J'ai mis le lien du magasin, aussi le lien directement sur la section avec des machines à pâte et des moteurs. Okay, so I'm getting this again, but you see I'm getting it thinner because I don't need it to be that blobbed out. And I'm going to get pieces out of it. And you can use the handle of a paintbrush, but what you want to do is to kind of bring it over with the brownish part so that you can form a kind of rolled in thing, not fully rolled in, but make the edges. And this will be way too long for one body, so let's cut them in two. Because essentially what you need is a little cylinder, pretty much, and put this part on the rounded edges and put this part, the part where you put together the body. And then flatten it in place and we shall fur it out. Get it here. And the same, pretty much all of them. Just make sure you round up the ends. And bring the head just a little bit over. Let's get another one. So see how I'm getting with it around the tiny cane bender, but as I said, you can use a paintbrush handle. Okay, hi Dawn. Yes, I have an electric machine and I have two regular machines. One is an Amoco that got the fenders kind of messed up, but I still use it. It's like 20 years old. I still use it because it's good to do at least, you know, mixes. And then I have an Atlas, an old model that I found at Goodwill for $5, I think it was $7, something like that. Got an extra year here. Where did it come from? And we are not done with these. There's one more thing that we need to do, and that is to make them a pointy butt, because their butt is pointy, because the last portion of the wing comes from the back leg and connects to the tip of that little nub of a tail they have. So when they fly, that's why you see a pointy middle on bats. And let me make the bodies of the tinier ones. The tinier ones, I can actually grab some of the leftovers. Nah, let's make them pretty still. These ones are too small to do any kind of wrapping, so just make sure that you round up their heads. Because if they are too long, you can always cut the extra. And the head should start about where the ears are getting separated. Let me show you one more time. Get it thin enough. So you place the head right here where the ears are separating when they are forming the V. And then cut the excess exactly where you had that tip when you cut out the wings. And that was it. I don't know why I thought that I think I cut 3 wings, small wings, but I probably just got them. This was the one that I had messed up. I just got them scrunched up. Okay, and now what we want to do is again to make that little bit of a fur dimension. And again, we start at the top. And the whole furry thing. It's not that difficult. It's a little bit repetitive, of course. And I am going to put some wax on the furs, some metallic wax. But at this point, I would not recommend that you use any kind of metallic wax on the wings. If you absolutely want to use something that would be pearly, I would recommend a metallic acrylic, because there's one that's gunmetal. Or if you have something that's more expensive, I mean, the metallic acrylic is like $1 something. But there's also a Daler Raleigh in the pearlescent acrylic inks. That's a black pearl. And you can use that if you absolutely want to do the wings more pearlescent-y. I would not recommend it because, hey, it's Halloween. Bat wings are supposed to be black. Just for the whole Halloweenish idea, you know. Okay, one more. And remember, after you finish doing all the furry part, to gently brush it back, because otherwise there would be the very tips of this clay that you just ruffled. That's not going to be held by much. So whenever you're wearing the bracelet, the bangle, it will get attached and snagged into stuff, and there will be the chances that you might actually break the whole little. But if they are gently folded back, then they should be just fine. Okay, so we are good with this one. Let me get it in the oven, and then we'll finish the earrings. Okay, let me catch up with the chat. Yeah, they have a pointy butt. Okay. Yeah, Don, you cannot see the chat room if you're on a tablet or an iPad. YouTube doesn't show the chat room. Only on PCs and on certain phones, unfortunately. Okay, now we got these all nice and baked. Let's do a little bit of decoration. But let's first put them together, actually, because that would be more interesting. And what I got here is simply, I have gunmetal colored ear wires, because I just want to not have to manipulate them afterwards, just let them harden. And I'll probably get them in the oven for just a little bit too, just for 5 minutes. I don't need more, because I intend to put some acrylic paint on them. So always when you open this, open it sideways. Never open it like this, because you weaken the metal. And the chances are that the moment you try to put it back together, it's going to break. So let's figure this out. We want this to be here the face, or here the face. Yeah, I think we want here the face. So you'll have to make sure that you get them both facing symmetrically, not facing, and they both have the front of the earring in the front of the wire. Okay, so let's do the same for the second one. And actually you can swap them, but I think I would want these little claws towards the face. Okay, so we want them like this. Now, first of all, I want some something sparkly here. Maybe some wax, maybe, I don't know, let me think. Do I want silverish? Give me just a second, let me check in here. Oh yeah, why don't we go for iridescent stuff, actually? Because it's more Halloweenish. So this is the Opal Magic wax. And if you didn't buy these yet, I would honestly suggest that you get them from PolyClay Play if you're in the US, not from Amazon, because Trish sells them cheaper. So I know it doesn't look like much. I'll show you in a second what it does if you're not familiar with this. These waxes. Okay, I got the turquoise satin, and then I'm gonna add a little bit of blue velvet just to give it even more sparkle. And I think I'm going to put some blue velvet on the end. Let me get some more of that blue. And I'm going to put some on the back here in between the purple, the turquoise satin in between the blue velvet. And remember, this you need to let harden for like 20 minutes to half an hour, and it will be perfectly hardened, and I won't have to put it in the oven anymore because it's not the acrylic. Oops. Oops. I don't want this. I don't want it on the wings. Let's get some purple on the inside part of the wing. Why is it called blue velvet? I don't know, because it's very purplish. Okay, and now let me focus properly so you can see all the beauty of it. Of course, they are not fully dry, but then you can very, very gently buff them with an old t-shirt. Let me get this focused. This off for better iridescence. Okay, no, it should be iridescent enough. There we go. Now we can see the whole thing. And this is not the proper light, the way that it would look when it's on your ears. They will look way prettier and more iridescent-y once they get fully dry. Let me try and do this. See how they are iridescent, and once you buff them, they will be just fine and shiny and iridescent. Non, c'est pas un anunț, c'est un site de Prima Marketing, elle s'appelle Art Alchemy. Et il y a 3 lignes, l'antique brillance, le métallique et l'opal magique. Et ça, c'est de l'opal magique. Elles sont des caméléons interférences. Yes, Art Alchemy. So, once the bangle is done, I would first recommend that you buff it and then apply the wax, obviously, because you don't want, if you buff with a power buffer, the wax, it will come off. Now, while that is, because that's all that was with the bangle, all that I'm going to do it will be to apply some of this wax on the bodies, and you can apply one of them on the wings as well, because being an interference from some angles it will look black, from other angles you'll see the blue, or there's the purple robes also that would be really good for this. But let me do a little bat head. Oh, thank you, Donna. Let me do a little bat head so you can see, if you want to do a whole bat medallion, how you should go about it. So I'm going to first make a ball, because I'm not going to be, I'm already up for almost an hour and a half, so I'm not going to be able to be much longer up. So ideally you start with a bowl. And just a second, because I have my scouting pigment on the table. No, I brought it here. Did anybody buy Mega Millions tickets? Because for me, it's my best friend who's going to get some for me, because she's the lucky one. I am not lucky. With me, everything that I make, it has to come through work. Okay, so I'm going to do it a little bit larger. This would be almost the real life size of a bat. So Obviously, the ears come afterwards. But what you want to do, you want to have the head a little bit flattened on the back of the head. So it's fairly easy to work it. I'm going to put it here and bring it a little bit higher. C'est pas de problème, Dominique. Tu peux regarder demain quand il sera, parce qu'il est enregistré et tu pourras le regarder demain après que tu te réveilles. Hi, Deborah. Rob and Buff, I'm not very enthusiastic. I mean, there are things that are much better than it. So essentially, you want to think that you'll need eyes and the snout. The thing is that the bat's snout is not cute. Okay, so first pinch to make the eyes area, and then pinch like this. A bat doesn't have chin, and the bat doesn't really have much in terms of cheeks. So practically you'll have pinching here, and then flattening out. Then you'll have the mouth line, and actually I need to make it a little bit even thinner here. As I said, there's almost no chin. Pretty much kind of like in a cat. You know how cats don't really have much of a chin. Or like a greyhound, if you want. And they are fairly pointy here, but the main thing with them is the nose. The nose is very ugly. So you'll have the eyes somewhere here. And you can place a little black seed bead for the eye right in here. So the eye is easier, just flatten down. These you can get the whole set. I also have them in the influencer store in tools, and it's like a 12 different tools for like under $8. They are wax carvers, these tools. And they are improperly called dentist tools, but they are wax carvers. So let me make an eye hole here, because it would be easier to figure out how. But as a general idea, you'll have to take the idea that there would be two nostrils here, right? But after that, you practically have something like a cabbage that was cut. And most of the time, the snout is it's got some pinkish hues. So it goes almost like the snout of a pig, only that it's kind of ruffled. I don't know how to explain it otherwise. So lift a little bit. You need to make like 2 or 3 of these ridges. And then lift them a little bit. Now what I'm showing you now is how to do it the easiest way. Because normally I would just sculpt each ridge and then add it layer by layer. And you can go and look on Google Images on bat snout. And you should find quite a bit of stuff there. But yeah, you'll have these, when these help them, and they have a very keen sense of smell, not just the hearing. and these help them. Since also because some of the bats eat not just insects, but some will also eat flower nectar. And then there's even more ugliness going on here. So yeah, they are pretty much like this, and this whole area is fairly flattened to show you from the profile. And this is actually even flatter here. So let me get the proper focusing. So they would be pretty much like this. This would be the snout. There's a lot of ruffled ridges in this. Let me show you with the needle. So you have the mouth that's very thin, a very thin line. You don't really have a chin. The snout is kind of, all these ruffled ridges go towards the forehead. And then it's separated in two, and then it's going to have two or three ridges that are fairly ruffled, and then the two nostrils. But yeah, if you want to really do a bat, this is pretty much how they look like. The vampire bats, the snout is not as big ridged, but it's still ridged. It doesn't look like the nose of a dog. Those would be flying foxes. But even though, so never do what chin on a bat, and then when you attach the ears, let me get some from the back from here. When you attach the ears, make some teardrop shaped. Let me start it from the start. Make teardrop shaped, so a bowl, then teardrop it on both ends until you get something like this. Then use your bowl stylus to pretty much thin it out. And it's always very pointy. But you want to thin it out with the bowl stylus quite a bit. And the ears are usually at least as big as the whole head. Sometimes they are even bigger. So it would be something like this. And the ear would be even bigger than this. Because remember that they go by echolocation. And another thing, the shoulders, they don't start pretty much here. They start a little bit higher. They almost look like they have no neck, generally speaking. No, this is a regular bat. The vampire bats are not as ugly. They don't have so many ridges. Oh, merci, Caroline. Yes, not only that, Joaquin, but I know that they are very important for the sense of smell too. Yep, because they go by echolocation. That's how they catch their prey. But no, the vampire ones, this ridge, for the regular bats, the ridge can go even past the eye level. But for the vampire bats, it goes only about here. And then they have the two little teeth. Yeah, the Mega Millions, it's huge. No, merci, Dominique. Okay, so this would be pretty much it. As I told you, for the bangle, all you do is, and you can do not just the waxes, you can apply some pearlescent or iridescent acrylic paint or something else. I wouldn't go for what you call it, metallics, because that would make them look too plain. And we are talking Halloween stuff, right? So we want it to look kind of like somebody took the wings of a bat and put some bling on them and made them into earrings. So yeah, thank you for being here with me, and leave me a comment on. I'm going to start actually a little thread on the Facebook page, or you can put in the comments here what would be your suggestion for the next live. That would be on the 28th of October. So probably, nah, I don't think there's going to be trick or treating. That one would be the next one, probably, because the 31st is on a Wednesday. So I don't know. They are going to go Sunday, or if they are going the Sunday before, or if they are going to go the Saturday after. I have no idea. But anyway, yeah, you can make them. If you look somewhere along the lives of last year, I had at one point, I showed how to make fairy wings using wire and um, liquid, translucent liquid clay. And I think I made some with regular Sculpey translucent and some with PolyClay play, with Kato PolyClay. But you can see those, how to make those as well. And you can even color it with a little bit of black, or mix some translucent with a pinch of translucent black, well, liquid black. And you can make them definitely transparent, and they will look more like skin, because when the liquid clay dries out, it almost looks like a membrane, the same as the bat wings actually are. So thank you so much, and I will see you next Sunday. Don't forget to leave me suggestions on what you think you might want to do it, because that would be the very last one before Halloween. So it's our last chance of doing Halloweenish stuff. Just in your suggestion, try to keep in mind that it should have as little baking as possible, so I don't have to interrupt it and then restart it and all that. Okay? And I'll put up photos of the a bangle after I put the waxes and buff on them. I'll put some photos on the Facebook page. Thank you so much. Thank you, Caroline. Have a wonderful what's left of the Sunday. Happy claying. Bye.